Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be updating you guys on the entire hurricane season so far and what is upcoming, in my opinion, due to the dust, the sea surface temperatures, things of that nature. We're also going to talk about all of our active systems. We have Fred, we have Grace, and now we have Henry as well to talk about. So we're going to talk about all those things within this video. Anyway, be sure to smash that like button, be sure to leave a comment down below, and also be sure to subscribe if you like weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, when do you think the tropics are really going to be picking up? When do you think our next hurricane is in general, I guess, is a better question, because it looks like none of these storms will really become a hurricane, although Grace does have a chance, I will say. So if that is your guess, let me know in the comments down below. But regardless, I'll be picking my favorite comment for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at the hurricane season so far. As you can see, we had Anna in May. It looked like that was going to kind of begin a very active hurricane season. At least that's what we thought back then. And then it took until about late June, which is pretty normal for Bill, and then Claudette, and then Danny, and then Elsa very quickly there, as you can see, at the end of June into July. Again, looked like it was going to be a very active hurricane season again. But then we took about, I would say, a 1 month break there between early July and through early August. And then all of a sudden we had Fred, Grace, Henry. And that's where we're at right now. So are we going to have another like cluster of storms and then a big break until about the mid portion of September? One could only hope, but we're going to take a look at all of these things and consider that later on in the video. Now, I want to update you guys first things first on the current conditions of the Atlantic as far as the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We have Tropical Depression Fred now over somewhere between Alabama and Georgia there, bringing some rainfall, some severe weather, and a tornado threat, especially there for South Carolina and North Carolina later on today and through tomorrow. So we're going to be watching for that risk. We do have Tropical Storm Henri now, like I said before, near Bermuda, not expected to make any land impacts really. So a very interesting storm there that shouldn't really be that dangerous. So that's good news, obviously, to see one out there. That's a nice change of pace there. We have Tropical Storm Grace again, just moving to the west of Haiti now, moving towards Jamaica as well, where it's going to bring impacts, but eventually should be impacting the Yucatan Peninsula there as well. So we're going to need to watch for all of these things moving forward. Here's the cone forecast here for Tropical Depression Fred, and as you can see, this one is going to move straight up through Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, West Virginia, and towards the Pittsburgh area, where it should bring a lot of rainfall. But really, this storm is past its peak, obviously, as it's over land now at this point. Here is the Tropical Storm Henri forecast, and it's expected to stay a tropical storm all the way to Sunday at 2 a.m., but it's really going to curve around Bermuda, as you can see, bringing minimal impacts. You would have to make a pretty sharp turnaround to impact Bermuda a lot. It's not impossible, but it's not the most likely outcome at this point either, which is good news as well. And now in a moment, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at the cone forecast for Tropical Storm Grace, and then we're going to update you guys on the current dust, the current sea surface temperatures, and also the current probability of tropical depression according to the European model as well in just a moment. All right, now here we are taking a look at that cone forecast for Tropical Storm Grace. And as you can see, this one is going to directly impact, especially the northern coast there of Jamaica, where it should be really, really close to that low pressure center. Going to bring pretty significant impacts there, most likely. The interesting thing here is that it is expected to pretty much stay a tropical storm throughout its entire life across the rest of the southern Caribbean and then across the Gulf after it crosses over the Yucatan Peninsula there. But the interesting thing here is that there's a hurricane watch currently up for the Yucatan Peninsula there, Mexico, which is really interesting, obviously. They do, I think, they expect there to be a chance of this one becoming a hurricane, even though it doesn't say it on this map. But currently there's a hurricane watch there, and they wouldn't do that for no reason. It's going to be either a very strong tropical storm or potentially a hurricane. Let's finally take a look at some things that have more to do with the hurricane season rather than the current tropics. Here is our dust, and this is currently, you can see a lot of that is actually moving into the Atlantic right now, and it's pushing further towards the west, towards the Caribbean, towards the Gulf, and towards the central Atlantic. This hasn't been the case for about a week or a little bit more, but it is expected to move further and further west. And this is by the time we're taking a look at about Wednesday night. Tomorrow, you can see it's moved even further towards the Caribbean. It's taken over most of that main development region by this point. And by the time we reach about 6 a.m. on Saturday, as you can see according to this model, we're going to be pretty much pushing a lot of that dust into the Caribbean and possibly towards the East Coast, possibly towards the Gulf. So this is going to slow things down for a little bit. We are going to have a quieter period coming up very soon. And we're going to need to watch for that and see what happens when we pop out of that quiet period. Will we see any major storms then? Because that'll bring us probably very close to the peak of the hurricane season. So we're going to be watching very closely for that, obviously. Here's the current sea surface temperatures for the entire globe, and as you can see, there's a lot of colder waters there in that La Nina region offshore of South America and Central America there. In the Pacific Ocean, we see those blues going on. That is our developing La Nina. Let's zoom into the Atlantic real quick, though, and as you can see, the Gulf is very warm. The Southern Caribbean, where Grace is at, is also very warm, which could help Grace develop a little bit easier. Where Henri is, it's very warm as well. Very, very warm, actually. But where Fred has previously tracked, it's cooled down the waters a lot. We see this from time to time where a tropical cyclone can really cool down the waters as it moves over. Those should recover there in the Caribbean. But our main development region there, offshore of Africa, you can see is very cold at this point, and I don't really see that recovering. Here's the 7-day change, and you can see pretty much where those storms have been coming from, both Fred and Grace. That has caused these waters to really, really cool down in their track. So that is exactly what I was talking about a second ago. Offshore of the East Coast, though, we have warming waters over the past 7 days, and the Gulf is kind of neutral at this point. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at a lot of the charts that have to do with the sea surface temperatures. Our Nino 3.4 index, which measures our La Nina or El Nino, our Caribbean, our Gulf, our Atlantic main development region, and the entire North Atlantic in just a moment. We'll even take a look at the probability of tropical depression forecast in just a moment. Now, here is our Nino 3.4 index, and as you can see, this has been consistently cooling ever since it peaked around early July. Ever since then, it has been on its way down further and further towards La Nina status, but at both ends, both the peak and the lower end, it's within that neutral ENSO status. So right now, we still don't have a fully developed La Nina at this point. It is expected, however. Now, for the Caribbean, here is the trend. We're pretty much near all-time highs for the whole chart here. Not obviously all-time, but during this chart time frame, we're reaching those all-time highs there. Here in the Gulf of Mexico as well, we're pretty much around that peak here on this. I'm trying to figure out how long this chart is. I guess it's about 3 months or so. So yeah, the 3-month chart here, we're pretty much at the peak there as well on the Caribbean. The Atlantic MDR seemed like it was going in a direction of a warming trend here, but the thing is, it really just sharply dropped negative, and now we're below that neutral line in the main development region. This is due to all those tropical cyclones that tracked over that region in a very short amount of time. I think that really just put a beating on those sea surface temperatures. Now, the entire North Atlantic here is interesting because it seems like it goes up a lot and then slowly decreases and then goes up even more, then slowly decreases, and then now it's expected, based on that trend, to go up even more. That seems like what it's been doing, and I expect it to do the same as it's been doing. It's interesting how it's been consistently doing that, though. Kind of like a stock or something like that. A very, very interesting thing there, and I wonder what causes that to consistently do that same motion there on the chart. Pretty interesting there. Probability of tropical depression here now. You can see, obviously, we have a 90 to 100% chance for Grace, Henri, and for our Fred, which is a little more surprising. Because they're at or above tropical depression status currently. But apparently, according to this model, there is some more threats that are going to come off of Africa. It has this next wave at a 80 to 90% chance of reaching tropical depression status. This model isn't always super accurate with the percentages, and I expect it will not be that high of a percent chance of development. But that is still really interesting nevertheless, and it does expect more waves to be possible, even with this dust in place. So we're going to be watching the tropics, obviously, over the coming weeks, and seeing how much that dust will hold things back. For today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6, and that's just because we're getting further into the hurricane season, so my confidence is increasing at this point. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what do you think is going to happen with Henri? And James Marr said, I believe it will become a tropical storm, but with minimal to no impact due to no landfall, and I think that's really good news, and I think you're pretty much correct there. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Lord of the Pan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Cotalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Valego, Gary's, John Coolisi, Dwight Phelan, and Stephen Crenenthal. If you would like to be a part of this exciting patron entry of the day, you can do so by joining our very awesome Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I would also like to thank our channel members, Hair Farms 1 and Catbite as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to destroy the like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.